Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spring Bear 2021. I am in the exact same spot where I started this hunt a year ago. So, I'm set up in a big field, and basically, previously, I've seen bears come into this field from basically every possible direction. So I've got the spotting scope set up, and I'm basically scanning 360 with that, and then doing these little walks just around to look around corners and stuff with the binos. I forgot how buggy it is here. It's insane. It's like I can't even hear anything in the woods because the buzzing of the bugs is so loud. Anyways, it's maybe 7 o'clock. Been set up for about an hour so far. As I mentioned earlier, I bumped a little cinnamon on the way in, but other than that, I've seen a lot of shit, but haven't seen any other good bears. So it's really just a waiting game. I found last year I was better off to just set up, sit down, and sit still, and that's how I got the most action. So let's cross our fingers and see what happens. Alright, we had a little bit of action. I was glassing back up the way I came in, and I saw a decent looking black bear, and he deked off into the woods. I went over that way to make a play on him, but he didn't show back up. And what they've done before, fucking bugs are crazy. What they've done before is cut through the timber and popped out over here. I'll show you what I mean. So when I pointed down there, that's where he went in. And I'm going to sit back down here because I think he might pop out right over here. Alright, I'm going to wrap it up for the night. Basically, that one bear that I saw back there cut all the way through, I'm going to say almost a mile of timber. And that's what I just showed you there. He came out at the far end of the field, and he's just cruising. Like, it's even hard to keep the spotting scope on him. He's walking so fast, he comes in and out of frame just by the time you get set up. And he's just munching and walking and munching and walking. He's not what I'm looking for, though. I mean, he's a decent bear, but he's not that, big bear that I'm looking for. And it's the first day anyways. So yeah, gonna pack it up, call it a night. Well, that was interesting. Finally got a little bit of action. I did have the GoPro running, but I'm not sure how much it picked up of that, so I'll give a bit of a play-by-play here. So, executing the game plan, cruising logging roads, seen what looks like a nice black bear, and he was a decent black bear, not huge, but decent, maybe 150, 200 yards in front of the truck. So I stopped the truck. It was a clean rifle shot, and I thought he might be like a quite big bear. So I got out, I got the rifle ready, I looked at him in the scope. I never really got a clean shot. If he'd have turned broadside and given me a clean shot, I might have just taken it. But then he kind of ambled off into the bush, and I thought to myself, if I've got to put a stock on him anyways, and now I kind of know he's not a gigantic bear, I'm going to feel better about this if I take the bow. So I take the bow, creep up the road. At one point, I'm able to get a clean shot at 80, come to full draw, and I'm just not feeling it. It's a little further than I'd like, so I let down, stalk in a little bit closer. I'm being pretty aggressive, but I'm getting away with it. I got to 60, great shot, come to full draw. Just as my pin levels, he bolts. So this goes back to a saying that I've repeated many times, and the thing about hunting is you can do everything right and you still need that 5 to 10% luck. I've come to full draw on bears like that even closer before, and because they're a natural predator, they just look at you like, come get some. And then that works out in your favor and you're able to take a shot. Sometimes though, they get that vibe that I may be the predator, but this guy's a little more dangerous than I am, and I need to get the hell out of here. So anyways, that was fun. Got out of the truck, got a little bit of a walk. Mosquitoes are still brutal, but it's good. At least we got to play. Any night with a stalk is a good night. So maybe an hour of light left, maybe an hour and 15 if I'm lucky. So yeah, we'll keep on keeping on. All right, that is a wrap for day 2. So, saw that bear again that I made the stalk on. Just very briefly, he crossed the road in front of me and then deeced off into the ditch. I didn't really have an opportunity to do anything. I did get out of the truck and I did have him in the rifle scope, but yet again, I decided I didn't want to shoot him with the rifle. And then by the time I got the bow out of the back of the truck, he'd already walked off into the timber. And then a little further down the road, I did see another big boar. Again, just kind of his ass as he was moving into the ditch line and off into the timber. I'm fairly confident the game plan for tomorrow is going to be to go play that same stretch of road. It's the thing with the highest probability that I've come across yet. Nice looking bears, lots of bears, tons of bear sign. I think I saw four different bears tonight. 2 that were pretty nice, 1 I'm not sure, and then 1 that was a bit small. So unless Landers got some advice or a recommendation of somewhere else to go tomorrow night, I think I'm gonna go back in there. Yeah, I gotta rip to town tomorrow. There's this conference I gotta go do virtually, so I've rented a day room at the hotel. I'm gonna rip into town, do the conference till 3, get back in the truck and rip back out here. And it shouldn't disturb my hunting schedule too much, but that's the game plan. A little more action tonight, so that was fun. Hopefully we can actually seal a deal tomorrow night. All right, evening 3 is officially underway. So I'm cruising the same road system that I cruised last night. And I'm gonna approach it a little bit differently because out of everywhere I drove last night, I really saw one concentrated area of action. And so I think there's a spot up above where I can kind of look down onto this stretch. And so before I drive through it, I'm gonna park up above and just kind of look down onto that area, maybe even for like 20 minutes, half an hour. It's still kind of early, like 6:45 right now. And most of the action's gonna happen between like 7:30 and 9. And then what I'm gonna do is like slowly cruise through that area, go kill another 20 or 30 minutes on the other side, and then come back.
because that's what happened last night. I blew out that one into the woods, and by the time I had circled around and looked at the rest of the road system and came back, he was back on the road again already. So essentially, I'm just going to narrow my focus to a smaller area where I was seeing more bears last night. It's day 3, still have 2 more full days of hunting, so I'm still pretty focused on trying to knock one down with the bow. If I'm unsuccessful tonight, I'll probably just move to the rifle for tomorrow and Friday. It's pretty important to take some meat home. And I've already taken 2 bears with my bow, so there's like no ego involved here. I want to take some bear meat home, and if I got to use a rifle to do it, I'm totally fine with that. So anyways, that's the game plan. Keep you guys updated. Well, that's all she wrote for tonight. Pretty slow night. I'm also crazy tired for some reason. I saw a sow and 2 cubs early on in the night, and then that was it. I did not see shit the entire night. And of course, now I'm wishing I went and sat in the field, because I feel like at least I would have had a little bit of action. And I think now I'm going to have to go sit in there tomorrow night. I think that's the best option I got. And this is when the anxiety starts to sink in. You get past the halfway mark of the hunt. You still haven't put anything on the ground. And I start thinking about the possibility of failure. And that makes me anxious. I mean, it's a little uncomfortable, but not much you can do about it. 2 full days left. Might go do an afternoon sit tomorrow just so I can feel productive. I don't know how productive it will actually be, but it would make me feel better, like I'm actually doing something. Yeah, just got to keep on trying. 2 full days left to go, so the fat lady hasn't sung yet. Well, something's paying off. So I've seen 4 bears in the last 30 minutes. The first 3 were small and they just bolted. This last one I saw, though, was a very nice boar. I would shoot him all day, but similar to the rest, he bolted. And I think that's another one of the reasons you tend to hunt bears in the evening. I think they're a little less edgy for some reason at night. This is kind of weird. In my experience, bears don't always just bolt when they see you. They normally like hang around a little bit. They're more curious than anything, as long as you don't immediately present some kind of danger. So it's tough because I'm not getting any chance at all. Like the minute they see me, they're just gone. So I'm taking points though, and I think I might come back through here tonight, or I might let it die down and I might come back through tomorrow afternoon. And what I might do tomorrow afternoon is actually ride the e-bike up this road instead of the truck. So this is cool though. Most action I've seen this week by far. Holy shit, what a crazy night. This is the third time I've tried to do this update. I haven't said anything since I killed the bear. So from the top, here's what happened. I got to the first location, my plan A. Everything looked good. I unpacked, put all my gear on, made my way across the first section, and then there's like this kind of veg break, and I was gonna go down the side of it to where I was planning to sit for the night. And not 30 seconds after I turned the corner on this veg break, I look to my right and I see this big black head. And I'm like, oh shit. So I drop. He's maybe 200 yards away. So I drop all my gear. I got most of everything after this on camera, but it was all phone scope and GoPro. So there's nothing really showing exactly what I was doing. So I set the phone scope up on a fairly wide angle. He was just munching grass. So I thought, okay, he's not gonna go that far. And then I turned my head mounted GoPro on and I grabbed my rifle and I started to belly crawl. The problem with shooting bears in these fields is if you don't have like a legitimate tripod set up for your rifle, you can't lay prone because the fields are so flat. By the time you go down prone, the grass blocks your sight. And if there's just the slightest little rise, you can't see anything. So I was looking at the lay of the land and I could see that there was this berm that kind of like rolled over. And if I was able to get to the edge of it, I could actually shoot down the side of the berm to the bear. So it worked out perfectly. I cleared the edge of the berm and I had a full like broadside, great view, but he was quartering towards me. I am super paranoid of a bear taking a hit and running away into the bush here because there's grizzlies everywhere. I've been here when it's happened multiple times with other hunters and bears. I actually feel way more comfortable shooting a bear with an arrow than I do with a gun. And so Lander has always said, hit him in the shoulder because it might not kill him right away, but it'll drop him and then you can get another bullet in him. So he was quartering towards me. So I didn't want to take the shot. I wanted to wait till I got broadside. He turned broadside. I smoked him, absolutely starched him, dropped like a sack of potatoes. I'm pretty sure I spined him actually. It was a little far back from the shoulder and a little high. 160-yard shot, was laying prone, felt great. I am zeroed at 200, so maybe I could have held an inch lower, but really it's still shooting so flat, it shouldn't matter. You know, maybe I was shaking a little bit. Either way, one shot, nuked him, done deal. So that was maybe half a kilometer from the truck. And I know the farmer doesn't want people driving in his field. So I literally dragged the bear the whole way to the truck, which was absolutely grueling. Anyways, got onto the truck, had some water, took some pictures, threw him in the back, and decided, well, I'm here anyways, I'm gonna go back out and hunt. Recognizing that going out and hunting in an area full of grizzlies where I just killed a black bear is not the smartest idea in the world. But I had my rifle with me. I had, good line of sight everywhere. I'm like, let's do it. So I set up. I maybe set up for like 15 minutes. This is when I try to do the first update for you guys. And I just hear this and the shit crashing. And I'm like, what the? And I look up and across the field, there's this grizzly comes pounding out of the bush and then just stops. And he just starts like walking, like pacing back and forth. And I can only see the top of his back because there's this like little hill in front of him. So I'm watching him for like 10 minutes. I'm like, I should probably go. And then it looks like he goes back into the bush and I'm like, okay, let's give it another go. So I get out my protein bar. I snap a little video, have a little water, and then I go to give my second update. And I get like 10 seconds into that, and this time I hear splashing and crashing, and I'm like, what is going on? And I look in the field, and running straight at me, 2 grizzlies. And I'm like, what the hell? Like, what's going on? So I grab my rifle, and then I realize they have no idea I'm even there. It must be a sow and a boar, full rut, and this boar is just chasing. I mean, they are like sprinting, man. You can watch them rippling. I tried to get phone scope footage. They were literally moving so fast, I couldn't even keep the spotting scope on them. Craziest thing. And it's kind of like a flooded field out there. So every time they're running, this water's like splashing up, shit's going crazy. They run around for like 5 minutes, into the trees, out of the trees, into the meadow, out of the meadow, through the water, up the hill, down the hill, sprinting everywhere. One of the craziest things, I've never seen 2 grizzly bears act like that before. I'm sure lots of other people have, but I never have. They go off into the timber. I'm sitting there for like 30 seconds and I'm like, no, we're done. That's all I need to see. We're packing up. Screw it. I'll go find somewhere else. There's an hour left of hunting light. I still got 1 tag left in my pocket. Screw it. So back at the truck, safe and sound, gonna have some more water. Finally got you guys an update. There's maybe 45 minutes left of legal shooting light. I'm gonna have a drive around and see if I can turn anything up. What a crazy night. Holy shit. So you've already seen that I just dumped bear number 2. Bear number 2 is significantly bigger than bear number 1. I'll be honest, bear number 1 looked a little bit bigger in the scope than he actually was. Still a nice boar, but yeah, looked a little bit bigger. And I really took my time with that second guy, and I think I need to spend more time on the face. Because when you don't have perspective, it's really hard to judge a big body. But as soon as you look at that face and he's got like that flat Roman nose and a kind of grizzled look, at least I'm confident he's old. I'm more concerned about taking an older bear than a really big bear, if I'm honest. So I feel really good about that second one. 2 shots, 2 kills, man. I gotta say, I'm really happy. I was a little bit nervous bringing the gun on this trip just because I've seen so many people have bad luck, but I really did my best to dump it in that front shoulder. Big heavy bullet, big caliber gun, 300 Win Mag, 200 grain ELDX. Just smoked them. All right, I'll give a little bit more color and update tomorrow or when I get home tonight. I got a bunch of work cut out for me tonight, so I got to get home and clean up a bunch of shit and get these guys hung up, and I haven't even had a chance to take pictures with the second guy because the light was just so shit that it wouldn't have done him justice, and I didn't have any extra bug spray, and bugs were all over him. And here's a tip, guys, with your pictures, especially with bears. Don't take a picture with bugs all over your bear. It's just really disrespectful. So what I do is I'll get them set up in the position that I want, and then I give them a good douse in the bug spray. That clears them off for 5 or 10 minutes, gives me enough time to take my pictures, and it represents the bear the way the bear should be represented. All right, tagged out. Spring bear doubleheader. Pretty stoked. All right, that's it for tonight. All right, well, I suppose it's about that time. The drive home, the end of the hunt recap. For starters, I'm gonna use this recap for the podcast and for the film. So if you're listening to this on the podcast and you haven't seen the film, go watch the film. If you're listening to this on the film and you haven't listened to the podcast, go listen to the podcast. Now, I thought something interesting to talk about might be what my actual goals are with these films. Because you can probably tell I'm no Steven Spielberg. Like, there's people who put a lot more effort into the cinematography and the production elements. And in fact, I would probably bring somebody else with me if that was the ultimate purpose. I think, first and foremost, I just like making things. So I like documenting the hunt. I think maybe something different that I'm able to do that I don't see a lot of other people in the industry doing is digging a little bit to the motivations and like the emotional and the psychological stuff that goes on. And then also, I'm not an expert hunter by any stretch of the imagination, but I also try and dig into the technical elements as well, so that if there are things I know that can help other people, I'm happy to share those and try my best to do that. So it's kind of interesting because this hunt is not, how do I phrase this? It's not that it doesn't fit with the other hunts that I do. It does, but typically on my channel, I almost think like what I specialize in is those like really hard, kind of crazy hunts. And the thing about those really hard, kind of crazy hunts is that they make their own story. You know, like going into the mountains by yourself for a week to hunt goats is not something that you have to make interesting. Just turn the camera on. Shit's gonna happen, and if you're honest about kind of where you're at and what you're thinking about, it's going to be interesting to people. Stuff like this black bear hunt, there's a whole lot of not interesting shit that happens. I mean, for starters, you're only hunting a few hours a day. It's not a physically challenging hunt. You're kind of limited to where you can go. There's not as much strategy as some more of the technical hunting that you see people doing. But here's the deal. I love this hunt, man. Not only do I love hunting black bears, which is just a slight digression, something that has really grown on me. Like the first time I went deer hunting, I loved it. I saw a deer, I wanted to shoot it, it was amazing. The first time I went elk hunting, exact same thing. Bear hunting was something that had to grow on me. And now I'm at the point where the more time I spend doing it, the more I love it. Anyways, I digress. I love this hunt for kind of all the things that make it not what my other hunts are. I like the fact that I get to hang out with Jeff and Andrew every night back at the house and have Jeff make fun of me and, you know, eat good food together and not have to worry about a backpack and sleep in a little bit and help out around the house. And I like that I don't feel as pressured on a hunt like this as I do on some of my other hunts, because I feel more comfortable maybe. I feel more confident. I don't know. And I don't even know where I'm going with all this, except to say, I think it's important. Well, let me back up one step. Depending on how integrated you want hunting to be in your life and how much time and energy you want to spend doing it, I think there's a benefit to having hunts like this on your hunting calendar. I'm going back home now after being gone for a week. I'm relaxed, I'm refreshed, I'm recharged, I'm ready to hit the ground running Monday morning. I'm eager to see my wife and my daughter. And it was a week away hunting that does that for me. And when I come back from some crazy ball-busting adventure, that's not always the case. A lot of times I'm emotionally and psychologically drained. And what I take away is my vacation time. I end up coming home almost worse for the wear. My wife used to get pissed at the beginning. Like those first few years when I just kept failing at elk hunting over and over and over again, I would come home in a mild depression, and I would be like that for a month or two. It was just that failure again and again and again. And she was like, you got to get your shit together. Because it's not okay that you take off for a week, sometimes 2 weeks. I got to take care of the house. I got to take care of the kid. And then on top of that, you come back and you're kind of a dick. And I was like, you make a lot of sense. That is not fair. And I've actually really started to pay a lot of attention to that, so that I come home in the right mindset, because she does deserve that. She doesn't deserve, me coming home like a dick because I'm pissed off because I wasn't able to kill an elk or whatever the case may be. It's interesting. Normally on these drives, I'm full of these kind of profound thoughts that I've had over the course of whatever hunt that I've just been on. And I just realized I don't have anything. I just feel kind of content. And maybe that's the theme. Shit doesn't always need to be super challenging, and shit doesn't always need to be super deep. Sometimes it's just okay to get away for a week, hang out with some buddies, shoot some bears in some farmers' fields, come home with some meat and a nice hide, and that's as complicated as it's got to be. So that's all I got. All right, up next, big-ass sheep hunt, where we're going to get real profound, we're going to get real backcountry, and shit's probably going to get a little western. So, excited for that. That's going to be mid-August. And until then, just training, prepping, running the podcast, doing some gear reviews, and the same old, same old. So I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, thanks for tuning in.